Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Fantasy Football Harsh Reality. I am your host, Craig Romero Wilson, and what a weekend in sports it was. What a football weekend. I enjoy it so much. And of course, it ended in the greatest way possible. I know I wore this shirt on my Saturday podcast, but I'm wearing it again today because, Dak Prescott, Dak to the future, Dak delivered. And listen, you have to admit, man, the black cat in the middle of the Cowboys-Giants game. Maxwell Sawwell, welcome to the show. Yeah, how are you, buddy? Did you win this week? I went 2-1. I thought I was going to go 3-0 because the one team that I needed to pull it out was the team that I traded to get Aaron Rodgers. And you got a big win this weekend as well. That's right. It's so great when you get the big wins because the two guys I was facing in my Comedians League and in my League of Record were both the number one guys. And so I didn't expect to win both of those, but I managed to push those guys over. And I mean, it really wasn't like one of them was one of those teams that was really riding the New England Patriots defense. And that, I think, really helped me out because that was the one where, he didn't get those kind of points out of him. I think he ended up normally, the defense has been giving him like 30 to 50 points and it gave him 10 points. So I think that was really what did it. And Stafford, Stafford delivered. There's a lot of things that I got right on this one. But I'll tell you the one thing that I really got wrong was I really thought Cleveland against this first-time starter quarterback. I don't know if he was a rookie, but I know he's never started. And I thought this would be the chance. The defense still did pretty well. They gave you 12 points. I thought they were going to give you like 23 points. But they ended up they sacked him a few times, but they didn't get the big, I thought there'd be a pick six in there. As it turns out, the Ravens defense looked fantastic, which is the defense I really loved at the beginning of the season, but they've been kind of up and down. But boy, they came out hot. But of course, the big story, let's get back to the big story, which was that black cat in the Dallas Cowboys game. Boy, I don't know where it came from, and I saw it, and in my mind, I thought to myself, okay, this is either very good or very, very bad. And you played the kicker for the Chargers, and he gave it, there you go. Oh, yeah, he had a good game. He did a lot of the scoring for them. I played Brett Maher. I went deep on Brett, and Brett Maher delivered 15 points as well. And listen, you get 15 points from your kicker, that really is helping your team. But anyway, so the black cat comes out, and I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking to myself, this is a very bad omen. For someone, I was like, and of course, being a Cowboys fan, I'm like, probably for the Cowboys. But it wasn't our stadium. It was their stadium. And listen, when the stadium vomits up a black cat at you, that's a sign that things are not about to go pretty bad. And those things fell apart, man. And the Cowboys just lit it up. They got Zeke going, which was amazing. They finally got Zeke going. And then, of course, finally they hit Amari Cooper down. Now, as I was playing the number one guy, I had Evan Ingram and Brett Maher. And luckily, Maher was coming in and hitting them points. But he had Saquon Barkley. And luckily, we had contained him the entire game. And then he busted one out for 80-something yards. And all I kept thinking to myself is, tackle him. Don't let him score a touchdown. Because, if it's a touchdown over 50 yards, that's like 20 points, right? That's huge points. And I was like, don't let him have it. And luckily, we fucking tackled him. And he still wound up with like 15 points because of it. But thankfully, praise be to the sweet baby Jesus up above. The Dallas Cowboys managed to track him down and cut him down before he could get that touchdown. And I think but I ended up beating him by quite a bit. So I knocked out both the number one guy in my League of Record and the number one guy in my Comedians League. So that was pretty good. So those are going pretty well. Now, again, I was hoping Tom Brady would, because I get Mahomes back. I traded for Mahomes in that league, and I get Mahomes back this week. So that's going to be exciting. But then he goes on bye week in week 12. I was so hoping his bye week had already passed. I was just going to be like, all the way to fucking championship. But now he has a bye week. And, let's face it, even though I won with Tom Brady this week, I mean, it was by hook or crook. I had to gamble. I gambled a lot this week. I played Kenyon Drake. And if you remember, I was the only guy saying play Kenyon Drake. I put it on my Instagram. I put it on my Twitter. I was like, I'm going to give you 3 reasons why you should play Kenyon Drake. It was 1, Arby's ball out in their first game back. 2, they're playing on Thursday night, and Thursday night gets weird. And 3, it was Halloween, baby, and there's nothing, and nobody has scarier speed than Kenyon Drake. John Bash, welcome to it, dude. Your team in our friends and family league. I don't think you could be beat because he's the one that has McCaffrey and Dalvin Cook. Although this week, funny thing about Kansas City, have you noticed that like before that Thursday night Green Bay game or Denver game, when everyone was like, you can run on Kansas City. Anybody can run on Kansas City. And ever since then, they have been like, fuck you. And they have been shutting down running backs. And they shut down Dalvin Cook. They really, I mean, they held him in check anyway. I mean, I think he still got, he got like 14 points maybe or 12 points versus his normal like 35 points. So, yeah, they held him to 13 points on a projected 21, and he's been beating projection by quite a bit all season long. So that was another thing that surprisingly helped me bring in that victory. Ravens defense or Chiefs defense this weekend. I know I'm going for the Ravens defense because I think I'm going to ride with them the rest of the way. I drafted the Ravens defense. I ended up giving them up because they were not producing. But I think these guys are locked in now. I think this Patriots victory is going to juice the shit out of them. I like the Ravens defense going forward. Although I haven't looked at all the matchups, but if you can beat the Patriots like that and score that many points, pick 6, I like that Ravens defense. The Chiefs defense, while they are vastly improved, I don't know if I believe in them yet. I don't know if I believe in them just yet. And I'm not sure who they're playing next week also. Let's see, who are the Chiefs playing next week? We will look it up on... Do you know who they're playing next week? Because let me look it up real quick. So Mahomes this week, and then we'll look this up. So next week they are against Green Bay. Well, no, I wouldn't. I would not play the Chiefs defense against Green Bay, and I'll tell you why. Because, Aaron Rodgers is going to be looking for a bounce-back game. And that's what sunk me. And I was going against my cousin Aaron in my friends and family league, and he's the one. I traded with him, Tyreek Hill, for Kyler Murray and Darren Waller. And he's been crowing about that ever since. Like, no, I have an unstoppable team, even though he's lost a couple of them. But I traded, I forgot who I traded, but I traded Le'Veon Bell and DJ Chark for Aaron Rodgers, and I played Aaron Rodgers, and that's when Aaron Rodgers ate a dick. Oh, wait a minute. No, you're right. I'm sorry. I'm looking at this wrong. It's Tennessee. You're at Tennessee. You already played. That's right. Green Bay already. I'm sorry. Those are the games he was out. That's why you guys have Tennessee coming up. Oh, yeah. I would definitely go with the Ravens. Because aren't the Ravens against Cincinnati or something like that? The Ravens have some great matchup. So absolutely go with the Ravens. I think it's against Cincinnati. So, I mean, you're talking money time. They're starting that fucking rookie quarterback. Oh, my God. You have to get the Ravens. The Ravens are the money bet. I mean, you have to get them. So I'm going to bet hard on them this week. But versus Tennessee, here's the thing. Tennessee is a very good defense. That's the strength of their team. Their offense is sputtering and giving up a bunch of points to defenses, but the defense is very, very good. So for me, I'm going with you gotta go with the Ravens defense this weekend. Thank you for that correction, Mr. Solway. Yes, I was looking at that wrong. Now, another guy who was just Dave Williams, welcome to the show. You and I are playing each other this week, but I have a bunch of players on bye. This is not a good week for me. You got a very good chance. So thank God I got the win last week because I have a shit team in our league because I have Phillip Lindsay on bye. Everybody's on bye this week for me. So in that team, Deshaun Watson. So I got to try and pick up a quarterback. Ugh. Oh my God! Look, you'll still win. Don't you hate it when you have a team that finds a way to lose? That's the worst. With all the projection, everything's on your side, and then your team finds a way to lose. one of the things that I heard Aaron Rodgers this week was Davante Adams coming back. It seems like, is it just me, but it seemed like Aaron Rodgers had developed a chemistry with his little tandem of it could be anybody situation, and then all of a sudden he decided, oh, I got to get the ball to Davante Adams, and so I think Adams wound up being targeted like 17 times or something, but only had wound up with 9 receptions, but it was pretty out of control. And it was, let's see here. Where are the targets? I don't know. I got some weird, I don't know what the fuck I clicked on. Anyways, Davante Adams, show me the truth. But he was one of those guys who started trying to force him the ball, and because he was forcing him the ball, his whole chemistry fell apart. Although, I think you also have to consider the fact that Ingram was back as the edge rusher to go with Bosa for the Chargers, and that again, remember we were talking about the coaching change, how they were making the coaching change. Was this going to be good? Was this going to be bad for Melvin Gordon or for Austin Eckler? And unfortunately, what I said about Eckler turned out to be true. He did wind up getting more snaps. But that also actually kind of opened up Melvin Gordon's game. It was like not all the pressure was on him. And then he wound up being the true goal line back and got 2 touchdowns on my fucking bench. Now, luckily I still won that game. But if I put him... But the Kenyon... The Davante Adams thing, I think he's going to take a little bit. Hopefully this week, after having been in for a week and taking a few hits, hopefully they get that chemistry back. And I expect a big bounce back game from Rodgers next week. Although I have to admit, he was so kind of like, it happens, and maybe that's the good thing. Maybe that's what makes him so great is the fact that he never gets rattled. But there was no urgency. They were getting beat. And there was no urgency, and that really bothered me. I'm like, is he start taking Celexa or something? Is he on Lexapro, and now he just is this zombie just like, I couldn't fix it, turn around next one. I don't know. I'll tell you someone who had me scared, baby. I'll tell you someone who had me scared, but then he wound up showing up for me big time in the second half. I was losing my mind in my apartment because Derrick Henry, that whole first half of the game, they were just trying to pass the ball, throwing interceptions. Now, luckily, I was playing the Carolina defense in one of my leagues, and so that worked out great. But I was just like they just wouldn't give him the ball. And then finally, in the second half, they abandoned the pass and just started handing him the ball, and he almost ran them all the way back into the game. They ended up losing 20-30, but he got 2 touchdowns in the. Oh my God! Talk about like being in a nose. I'm like, emotionally, I was like, but when he started getting going, I was like, guys, just do that. What are you guys trying to do? Okay, so Adams caught 7 of 11 targets. So he was targeted quite a bit. And I think maybe they were just trying to work him back in against that new edge rush that they had going, gangbusters. And maybe Chargers now a defense to go pick back up. Everybody dropped them. They looked, and again, that coaching change seems to be good for everybody involved because they didn't just beat the Packers. They beat up the Packers. They really dominated them pretty hard. So... 26-11. That's and that was basically a home game for Green Bay. Did you see the stadium? The stadium was packed. It was all Green Bay people, all cheeseheads, and the images from the stands. Think about it. Here, you're a cheesehead living in Southern California. And your team is finally coming to your town to play the Chargers, not the Rams, the Chargers, who've been kind of a doormat for this entire season. And you're thinking to yourself, oh, we're all going. And they were the shots of the crowd, with the 2 Chargers fans and a sea of green and gold just... So sad, so disappointing, and they probably spent a fortune. Those are probably the most expensive tickets of the year for that stadium. I looked them up because I thought, okay, Dallas on Monday, maybe I'll go to a Chargers game because I kind of want to see them in this tiny stadium. But they were like, the minimum price was like $478 for the shittiest seats. I was like, forget it. I'm sitting on my couch and watch that game. Yeah, there you go. Diaz Mackey, Chargers are getting healthy, and every year they make a second half of the season push. It is kind of that way. It is kind of that if their back's not against the wall, they're not good leaders. They're good catching uppers. And some teams are like that. They need to fall behind and then claw their way back in. My fantasy football teams are that way. We always struggle out of the gate. In fact, I hate having a team that's good right off the top. I like making the moves. I like making the trades. I like moving the pieces around. And then, and for me, my season, with this big win over the number one in my league, now I start clawing my way up. I already moved into 7th place, so I'm now 1 game out of making the playoffs. And I will make the playoffs because Mahomes is coming back. And I traded for him, when he was injured. Now it's going to pay out. And I will climb into at least 6th or maybe even 5th place. And every year, it's rarely the number one team that winds up winning it all. It's oftentimes someone that 5, especially in my league of record, it's always somebody that sneaks into the playoffs that ends up making that hot little run at the end and getting it done. And listen, let me tell you something, folks. Brett Maher is the man because the Cowboys trust him to hit 50-plus yarders. He is, in my opinion, the number one. He's going to be the number one kicker for the rest of the season. He's going to be the guy because the trust is there now. And they proved it last night. He missed, I think, a 51-yarder, and then they put him back out for like a 53-yarder or something like that. And in fact, let's see. Yeah, he had 150-plus and then one regular one. But they put him out for another one. He missed that one, and they still sent him out there for another 50-yarder. So, I mean, that's what you want. You want a team that's like, close enough, send out Maher. And Legatron has traditionally been that guy, but lately he kind of hasn't been that guy. Like, lately they haven't been trusting him that much. They haven't been letting him, and he hasn't been hitting those deep ones the way he used to. He used to be automatic, but he's not automatic this season. I'll tell you somebody that I'm going to start playing a lot more with regularity, and that's DJ Moore. DJ Moore for the Panthers with Kyle Allen, he definitely at the beginning was clearly focused on Curtis Samuel, but I think now he's finally kind of begun to see DJ Moore, and he's ending up putting pretty consistent games. He put up 15.5 points this week, beating projection solidly. So his last 4 games, he's at 13, 12, 6, and then 15. And the 6 was against San Francisco. So he's quietly starting to really, he got 10 targets, 7 receptions, 101 yards. So he's quietly starting to get that consistency with Kyle Allen. And now that Kyle Allen is, they put Cam Newton on IR today. So Kyle Allen is definitively the starter for the remainder of the season. I could see Kyle Allen making a real difference. And it seems to me DJ Moore's floor now is really low. And the same is now true of Mohamed Sanu. And I almost said play Mohamed Sanu. He wound up with 19 points. The chemistry's there. He is now firmly number 2. There's no Gronk. So if it's not Julian Edelman, who's also banged up, it is going to be Mohamed Sanu. They've realized that. They have connected on that. They've solidified it. And I was afraid to play him. I thought it would be another week. I thought maybe he would get around 7-8 points. But no, he's clearly now 81 receiving, 10 receptions. 10 receptions. How many times was he targeted? 10. 10 receptions out of 14 targets for 81 yards and a touchdown. It's there. I think you start Mohamed Sanu now with relative confidence going forward. I think you have to. So I'm excited to see that. So now I got some pieces, baby. I got some pieces that I can play. So, Emmanuel Sanders, Devontae Adams, yeah, I'm looking pretty good. Now, my big boner call of the week. The big boner. More so than Cleveland and when I told my friend Ali Malik to play Baker Mayfield. I really thought Baker Mayfield was going to have a pretty decent day. I really thought this would be the game. But, when you have 2 wide receivers who fucking care more about their cleats than the team, that tells you what you need to know. After all the adversity they've gone through this week, they go and pull a stunt like that. Like, what the fuck is that shit? What are you guys doing, man? Quit thinking about yourselves and and work on the team. That time you spent looking for those so ridiculous. Now, Kenyon Drake, I wouldn't say you could start him with regularity because David Johnson is apparently coming back. I hope you played him last week, like I did, and got those 28 points till I don't know. Now, Mark Walton, that was my big boner. And it did almost cost me the game. I thought I might be going down with that one because he just completely... And now he's suspended because I guess he got drug tested. So Kellen Balazs owners, if you have him, or if you want to pick him up the waiver wire, he's going to be starting. But obviously, someone made a good point. They were like, don't play him, because it's still the Dolphins. And the only thing I thought about that was, but it's against the Jets. So if anybody else's, water finds its own level, and Miami did win the game, so I wasn't wrong. That was Miami's game. But somehow, Mark Walton he failed to get going, and now he's suspended anyway, but I was going to cut him. I didn't need him. Literally, okay, I had 6 choices. Every other choice more than doubled his points. I had Melvin Gordon, 24 points. Philip Lindsay, 18 points. Sanu, 19 points. Jamal Williams, 14 points. DJ Moore, 16 points. And I went with Walton. And, that's the fantasy gods. But since they gave me that second half with Derrick Henry, I consider it all even. We are at last resolved. David Montgomery continues to produce. Oh, that was the guy that I was playing who was number one. On his bench, he had Josh Jacobs with 26. He had Kirk Cousins with 24, David Montgomery with 21. So he made a few mistakes with his lineup too. And it's those mistakes versus I made one less mistake than he made in the lineup choice. I mean, he put in Keenan Allen. How can you not play Keenan Allen? But he only gave him 5 points. I think Keenan Allen is more injured than he lets on. And in fact, I didn't want to say that last week because I wanted him to keep Keenan Allen in his lineup for this very reason. I think Keenan Allen is more injured than he lets on. I don't think he has the explosiveness that he's had the previous parts of the season, which is one of the problems with Keenan Allen. This is an every year thing. He breaks down about this time of year every single year. Baker showed up to the game in full beard. By game time, Fu Manchu at my press conference. Greg Romero Wilson. I know, I saw that. I know. Baker is. The coaching is horrible. I think the play calling. But I mean, who's his quarterback's coach? Because he's leaning into every single throw. He's trying to throw a missile every time. You see him loading it up and forcing it as hard as he can down the field. Like that somehow makes it a better pass. He needs a quarterback's coach who can rein him in and show him some fucking Russell Wilson videos and show him what a touch pass looks like. Because, not a touch, but a pass with touch, rather. Because he keeps, he's not comfortable. He's not having fun. The whole team is in disarray. And so my apologies to Ali Malik. That's hopefully it did. But his other option was also terrible. He told me who his other option was. I was like, yeah, you got to... I hated both of them, to be honest. So I may be partially to blame. Tevin Coleman, that was another guy that he played because of that 3-touchdown thing. But this goes back to the fact that they have this committee thing going. And sure enough, they decided to do the switcheroo on Tevin Coleman owners and be like, oh, no. This week it'll be Matt Breida. I see. And so Tevin Coleman really didn't get the opportunities, and that's the thing. And Mark Andrews, I'm sorry, Andrews has really fallen off. And now Hoyle, he seems to be the guy getting more of the receptions than Mark Andrews. Now, that could have been a Patriots defensive thing that they just shut him down, but that was another guy that failed him, the guy that I was playing against. So, listen, guys, you're looking for a tight end. I think the play this week on the waiver wire, go out and get Gesicki in Miami. He is who he seems to have the chemistry with Fitzpatrick and seems to be the one receiver you can count on. Go get Gesicki. Also in the tight end category, I like that guy Hollister out of Seattle. Listen, nobody knew who Will Dissly was, so... There's something. So that's just out there. That's what's in the water. Listen, guys, this has been fun. Let's go out there and have another great week. Go Cowboys. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at FFHR Podcast. This has been Fantasy Football Harsh Reality.